So payments is, as I usually call the biggest spot for startups, right? And we always say that banks had a lot of weak spots, and startups took advantage of it by exploiting inefficiencies that large institutions especially had in the market by applying technology and making payments faster, cheaper, and better, fundamentally. So I'm based in Europe, but InnoTribe and FinTech Sage operate globally, right? So there are a lot of examples, but one of the first unicorns of FinTech is actually TransferWise. TransferWise, all they do is actually they are optimizing cross-border fees for payments, and something that is very interesting is that most of the startups, they all start by competing frontally with banks, and in most cases they end up collaborating, because truth is that to reach scale you need the trust, the reach, and the distribution of a financial institution. So I think so because Philippines is one of these countries where population is massive. There is a concentration in few large conglomeration, urban conglomeration. As in many emerging markets, you have also a big rural population. But what is interesting is that with the smart collaboration between the regulators and the financial institutions, startups can actually tackle in the financial inclusion side of it and actually make it more inclusive. So I think that the Philippines' future is as bright as many countries in the world where the size is actually convincing and compelling enough for investments to flow, and I think Philippines is one of these countries. So this is actually the biggest challenge, So in most of the cases, because we are really talking about unbanked population, it's not about underbanked, it's really unbanked population. And in most of the cases, it's not that they don't have a bank account. They even don't have a mobile phone in some cases, right? So there are other places like this. Mozambique is one example. Mozambique, half of the active population actually lives without a phone and without a bank account. So the challenge there can only be solved with a combination of effort between technology and incumbents. So, and it can go from sending trucks in rural areas and bring the branch to the mountains. Although I don't think it's the best option because we are still in like an old style banking. The other option is really get help with technology and connectivity and find ways to mutualize the devices or make new type of devices. Actually, the rural battle is one of the biggest challenges for financial inclusion, for the planet itself. Infrastructure is definitely the key. That's why Mark is trying to connect Africa through like drones and floating giant routers, to connect people. Connectivity is actually, it comes before inclusion. Today, internet is not covering the whole planet, and it's kind of the step zero. The good news is that there are like very deep pockets, and the large, donors and organizations, they know that this is the challenge. Because of course this is not an ROI based investment, it is an impact kind of investment, and I think that is going to be key to rely the right forces together, because I don't think that a single player can actually overcome this issue by itself. So frankly, no. But it's not a problem of the Philippines,
Yeah.
right? And
World economy.
exactly, and maybe it depends how long you want to take that leap, right? So when you say the future, certainly yes, but it's not the near future. The reason is the following: my dad is 75 years old. Okay, he's very smart, but he can barely use the iPhone, to call and WhatsApp and Messenger. But it's not the technology, it's the mentality, right? It's the mindset. For him, dematerializing money is still something that if he doesn't see it, it's almost like it doesn't exist. So what we need is a generational shift that hasn't happened yet. Not because we are bad or because technology isn't there or because we haven't been because our heart is not in the right place, but it's simply because you need time for people like you and me that are not digital natives, but we are digital. We inherit our heritage. Exactly, we grew up with digital, right? So we need us to be at the age where it's going to be as normal as it is now. It's not the case today, even in very developed countries. So I don't see how in even emerging markets it's going to be the case, in the near future. I think that the way you make people interact is what they really take out of an event like this one. Let me give you an example. So you and I will remember this conversation, right? So at the next conference, our dialogue will go deeper immediately because we'll not only remember our face, but we'll have this conversation. So what if this type of events could help you manage as many conversations as this one, in a defined lapse of time? So this is what I think that all these conferences are not lacking, but it's the challenge for every single conference on earth to make people interact in a proper way. So what we all get out is the depth of the conversation that can help you building your next move or ventures, or help your company or get easier into your next step. That's what I really believe.